Hola, ¿cómo estás todo? It is March 7th, 2020. Hang on one second. Yes, back. Okay, 2020, March 7th. A couple of updates, and then I'm going to do a fight prediction. And we have a fight tonight, another UFC fight. This is one of my favorite fighters well, in the history of the UFC. I cannot think of a more dynamic personality. Um, and Wow, there's a lot of things. Well, we won't have a backup for this one tonight. And let me turn off this other mic. So it's going to be, I guess we can leave them both on. But interesting year so far. We're in March, and there is craziness going on all around. It's a weird time. I've never experienced a situation like this in my life before, where there's so many odd things happening. Specifically, the oddest thing is obviously the coronavirus, and that's pretty much what I will be updating us on today. But very strange times. Feels literally like a movie in some cases. Whenever you go to a restaurant or even supermarket, you wonder if someone's contagious, and if you've touched something that's contaminated. It's very odd, and you read articles about how to prevent yourself from getting it by not touching your face. We touch our faces pretty often, apparently, and that's one of the main reasons why people get infected with really any virus or um, uh, cold or flu. So I don't have any admonishments for how to deal with this going forward. But I will just say, because I'm speaking to my 150-year-old self in the future, that this is a weird time. There's 105,000 cases worldwide, and I didn't read the death toll. I think it's horrible that we even have to talk about it, but I know the death toll. The last time I read was 3,500 people. But I'm not gonna tell you anything that you don't know. If you end up watching this video, this is pretty simple facts that you can find on Google. But as I said, this is a great marker for me in the future to remember this particular time. So there right now are 401 cases in America or United States. I shouldn't say America, the United States, and it stretches across 20 states, and it's a lot. 19 people have died thus far, and so we can assume that just based on that percentage, there's significantly more people that actually have it across the states. Apparently, a Starbucks employee has tested positive. There's a cruise ship with 21 positive tested people on the ship off the coast of San Francisco. So those that's sad. I mean, I can only imagine having being on a cruise ship and really not knowing when you're going to get off the cruise ship, and if you're going to be infected, and if you are infected, if you're going to live. That's the scary part, right? So weird times, like I said. It would be interesting. I wonder what it's like to work for a large corporation right now. I wonder how freaked out they are, and what they're telling their employees, what they're talking about with regards to bottom line and future sales and those things, because those are the things that they're thinking about first. Trust me, they're not thinking about the safety of the employees. unfortunately, because that's just how it works. But I heard that I think NBA players were told that they should be aware that it's likely that attendance is going to be down because of this. So everybody be safe. Hopefully this thing dies out tomorrow and we don't have to deal with this anymore. Second thing I want to talk about is it's supposed to rain rivers next week. So beware. Beware, Los Angeles. Rivers of rain are coming across the desert and across Los Angeles. I don't know how long they're lasting, but apparently it's supposed to be a lot of rain. So let's be aware of that. All of us out there are familiar with the word faith. No, not faith. I'm sorry, fate. So fate, like your destiny. Well, an unoccupied truck rolled down a hill and smashed into a 1,000-year-old statue. I forget what they called it. I think they call them Moabs. I could be wrong. I feel like that's what they're called. But anyway, it smashed into a 1,000-year-old statue on Easter Island. And if you don't know the history of Easter Island, you should go check it out. It's pretty interesting. And once you figure out or learn about the history of Easter Island, I want you to take that mentality and I want you to apply it to our current system, and then tell me what you think about that. And then there's another system that took place in another region of the world, and I won't say where because it's very controversial. Not controversial in that it didn't happen, controversial to point it out because it implies a certain thing. So anyway, take the things that happen in Easter Island, and it correlates with behaviors in other parts of the world historically, and then take a look at our system now, and uh, tell me what you think in the comments if you know what I'm talking about. Okay, but the fate of that statue was in the hands of an unoccupied vehicle, a truck that crashed into the statue and apparently destroyed it. 1,000 years old, it's set right there, greeting patrons that entered the island, and now was destroyed by a truck that had its name written all over it. On Monday, we're gonna have something called the supermoon, and it will be the second largest moon of 2020. The moon will be illuminated to 99.7%, which is crazy. So the best time to see it in Los Angeles, let's see. Well, first of all, universal best time. And so that you take the universal time and you apply it to your time zone. But the universal time is 5:48. Los Angeles time, best time to see it is 7:12 p.m. Pacific time, and then in New York, the best time to see it is 7:01. And for all the people that are listening in Dubai, best time to see it in Dubai is actually 6:11 p.m. So all of these are p.m. So 7:12 p.m., 7:01 p.m. in New York, and 6:11 p.m. in Dubai. And there are other obviously better times. You can look it up under your local news station. Interesting thing about, well, first of all, the percentage of illumination I thought was interesting. It's 99.7%. I don't know how they capture that to that keen percentage, but I thought that was crazy. The moon will also be illuminated as it rises, or as the sun rises. Opportunity to check it out in the morning and at night. So if you've never seen the moon, a super moon in Los Angeles, it looks incredible. And since we get the opportunity to see things on the horizon, of the ocean, with the ocean in the horizon, it kind of gives us an unobstructed view of it, which coming from where I come from, you don't really get that option because there's trees and hills and stuff like that. Not that there aren't trees and hills here, but it's just not the same. And then the last thing I wanted to say, just I thought was interesting, is the Prince of Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salam of Saudi Arabia has arrested three of his family members as what they're saying is a power grab. So can you imagine? Let's say you have a business that you run with your family here, and then all of a sudden you decide, I want all the power, I want all the business, and so therefore all the people that are in my family that are affiliated and have a possible interest in percentages of the business or any kind of uh, I don't know, control. I'll just put them in jail, and people are going to listen to me and follow my orders and put them in jail because obviously they don't want to be put in jail or killed as well or locked up somewhere. All right, so here comes my prediction. Tonight is a big fight. If you're not a UFC fan, uh, that's okay. But if you are, here's my prediction tonight. I like to put it on record. Well, first of all, I'll just give you just a bit of lead up to my prediction. I watched a couple of the the videos, vlog videos of the fighters preparing in camp, preparing for the fight, and I looked at how they looked in their preparations. I looked at how confident they talked. I listened to what they had to say about their supposed strategies for the fights, even though I'm sure they're not going to provide their true strategies to the public. But I took a look at as much information as I possibly could, even though I had already arrived, I think, prior to even paying attention to those things, at what I considered to be um, my prediction. But I just wanted to make sure, and I have to say, going through that let's say we'll call it data, I had my reservations about my thoughts on who would actually win the fight, and because as I looked at previous fights that took place between both of the fighters, and I'm just talking about the main event, so Adesanya against Romero. Well, I can't remember the. Well, I should look it up while we're talking. Um, the co-main event is the champion from China, and the main event is Adesanya and Romero. I'm going to actually look it up to so I can be a little more knowledgeable about, well, at least give the appropriate names. So, uh, oh man, I don't know why I didn't listen to how to pronounce this. So we'll say Zhang and Joanna. Um, so the women's strawweight co-main event, the new champion, uh, Zhang. Sorry if that's not the right way to say it. I have to predict her to win because Joanna hasn't looked strong in any of her most recent fights, and this other girl looks like, let's just say, between let's say her and Romero, maybe went to the same cafeteria a few times in the past, and came out feeling a little bit better. So, which I don't agree with in fighting unless everybody's gonna do it. But I don't think that Joanna's gonna be a match for her because she just comes on too strong, and Joanna used to come on really strong, and as of late, she doesn't seem to have that kind of physical fortitude. So um, I'm gonna pick the champion to win that fight. And as far as the Romero Adesanya fight, I gotta go with Adesanya. Romero's been beaten before, although a couple of his, well, one of his fights for sure, with the fight with Costa. I actually, I don't think that he lost that fight against Acosta, but they're trying to make this guy a champion, which I understand. I mean, it's a completely different country that they're trying to pick up, and they need some champions from Brazil. And he's a really handsome fella. So if he can ever become a superstar, he will become a superstar. I mean, that's big money for a guy who's a fighter who looks like that guy. So I could see why people want to uh, why they wanted him to win. But in my opinion, he definitely did not win that fight. And unfortunately, they took the fight away from Romero. Okay, so, but he's been beaten before. Adesanya, at least in the UFC, has not been beaten. And he here's how I think it's going to go down. So, having watched a Whitaker fight back, I realized that what people don't realize is that Adesanya is much faster than people give him credit. He's tall and lanky, so it doesn't look like he's moving that quickly. But if you watch his movements in and out of the pocket and away from shots, it's pretty. First of all, it's pretty slick and it's pretty quick. And Romero is now, in a way, I don't want to say he telegraphs his strikes, because he's got that little strike where he leans down and swings like an overhand right, and if you're not aware of it, you can get caught with it. And Adesanya seems like he's too intelligent, too smart of a fighter, and he's aware. He doesn't want to go. He wants to have career longevity. He doesn't. He's a very witty guy. He's quick with the tongue and quick with the jab, and I don't think he wants to lose either one of those. So he's not going to go in and fight this fight stupidly. I don't know why he fought Kevin Gastelum like he did. I guess maybe he didn't expect for Kevin to be so accurate, or 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 have the ability to hit him because he was such a shorter guy. Um, um, but for whatever reason, he took a lot of shots in that fight, and actually, it bothered me a little bit that he took so many shots, because when you start taking shots like that in fights, obviously it diminishes you. It does take something away from you. So I hope that doesn't happen in this fight. That's the thing that's most concerning, is that he will get caught up in fighting or trading um and start taking on too much damage, uh, maybe trying to be a little too macho instead of being an intellectual fighter. That will be the downfall if he chooses that route. If he chooses a smart route, the route that he chose with Whitaker, and it appeared that in that fight he didn't even want to get hit at all. In fact, when he did get hit, he seemed to be upset about it, which is how he should approach this fight and how I think he's going to approach the fight. So I think that he is going to be very defensive, and not defensive in a way like he's not going to be running, but he's going to be dodging punches. And I think he's going to use his jab, and I think he's actually going to try a couple of kicks, although that may be dangerous for takedowns. That is could be an issue, and I have a feeling he will be taken down in this fight. But I think he will get right back up. Because I don't think that Romero's gonna have the stamina to hold him down at his height, and he's much stronger than people think. Doesn't really doesn't seem like he has to cut a lot of weight. He's one of those tall kind of lanky guys who is muscular and heavy, but not too heavy, meaning not carrying a lot of extra fat, which is great. It's great to be uh, um, of Nigerian descent in that way. And then since I'm a certain percentage Nigerian, I can't remember what it is. It's a pretty significant amount, maybe 20%, 30%, 20%. Can't remember. Um, I know what that looks like, but so I got to go for my. I wish I could do a Nigerian accent, but I got to go for my Nigerian brother. So I think that Israel will win the fight, and I think he will. Uh, Man, it's so tough to say after that Kevin Gastelum fight. Uh, hmm. 5 rounds. Won't go 5 rounds. It'll probably go to. I don't see Yoel lasting. I mean, the problem is if he tries to not empty his gas tank in the first 2 rounds, he's probably going to get pot shotted for the first 2 rounds, which is going to be trouble for him. And by that time, um, meaning he's going to get a bunch of jabs, and by the third round, so I'm going to go fourth round knockout Israel Adesanya, because this is what's going to happen. Pot shotted for 2 rounds. Third round, he's going to try to go for it, try for 2 takedowns, and maybe he gets one, and maybe he gets a second one. By the second one, he is done for in terms of gas tank, and then Israel will pick him off with a couple of shots at the end of the third round, and then by the fourth round, he's going to try to go for it again, and by this time, Israel's going to be slick, move out of the way a few times, and catch him here and there, and knockout by Israel Adesanya. Romero, I dig you as a fighter. And if I see you in the street, we're best homies. But I think you might have to go down tonight, brother. Okay, my friend. All right. All right, my friends. That's it. We shall see you. Good night. It's Saturday night, March 7th, 2020. Go, Nigeria! Adesanya!